What's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Tony Harvin Network. We're back with another conversational video. For the most part, we're here to have a great conversation in general that we said we was going to talk about yesterday. Y'all know my disclaimer. I'm not a pastor preacher. I don't hold any type of office in the church, so please do not lay claims of those titles on me. We're not here to violate any type of community guidelines, any type of copyright infringement, or any type of privacy guidelines at all. Shout out to everybody who's going to join us live now in the middle, and those who are going to catch it when it uploads to YouTube. Church beef, question mark. This is an in general question. I ain't specifying nothing or nobody. We're just speaking in general. A basic conversation, that's it. You understand? And I posed the question to the public. Why many church people argue, fight? Well, it seems that way. More than outsiders. That's the conversation we're looking to have. Not trying to go off course with anything else in general. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody had a good day in general for the most part. What's up to M90? He says Christians shouldn't be doing that. We are one in Christ Jesus, though denominations are different. He says, but we believe in one Lord, one faith, one baptism. And most importantly, we all believe Jesus is Lord. He also stated that Jesus Christ died for our sins and God raised him from the dead. Jesus is the only way to heaven. He's the truth and the life. Understandable. All right. You also stated that you said, I think church people shouldn't be arguing. It's sad. I guess you meant it's a sad thing to see church people fighting each other. How will unbelievers react when they see such things happening to the church people? I mean, you got a good point. You understand? You got outsiders looking in at these sisters over here, arguing, fighting. They may be fighting over a man. Ain't that something? Church sisters fighting over a man. You know what I mean? He's knocking boots with both of them. Stuff like that happens in churches. It happens. Church brothers fighting over a woman. They fighting over a sister. Ain't that something? It happens. It's probably happening right now in general. Once again, we ain't specifying nothing or nobody. Speaking in general. For the most part. You know, this brother over there looking at that sister. Ah, man. He go confine this brother. Listen, man, I'm interested in sister such and such. What should I do? And he fake give advice because he want to talk to her too. It happens. You understand? What's up to Mr. Dunbar? Shout out to you. He says, I can see the devil wants to keep us divided. He says we must have forgiveness in our hearts at all times. It's okay to have a disagreement. Leave it private. He stated that these things put a stain on the church. And most importantly, it makes Jesus Christ look like what he is not. He says people who say they are of Christ need to think about that rather than their pride. Very interesting. You know what I mean? In general. Of course, you know, people have disagreements. You know, I have disagreements with, you know, individuals or just in general. For the most part. You know, conversation. Everybody's not going to agree with certain things. You know what I mean? For the most part. But we are in this, you know, those who are in holiness or whatever the case may be, or those who profess to be Christians and whatnot. You know what I mean? We definitely got to be in this together in general. But we do know some folks go astray. You know what I mean? Some folks want to. Now, if somebody go out there baptizing people without the Holy Ghost, that's something different right there, man. You understand? That's something totally different. Some stuff like that, different. That's different right there. That's a huge disagreement right there. I mean, that's just huge. Something like that, that's huge. You know? All right? What up, the prodigal son? All right? We scrolling down. What's up to Shelly House? Shout out to you. You said we all fall short at times, but it's essential to seek forgiveness and strive not to repeat our mistakes. For sure. I agree with that. Definitely do agree with that, for sure. What's up to, what is that, DYS? What does that mean? All right. What's up to number 33? Marcia and Maxwell, Helena Russell, Bobby Gonzalez, Anthony Nelson, Gwendolyn. Shout out to you. Colin Spencer says, I don't believe nothing unless it's written in scripture. You says, okay, you're making a quote that Gino said. You says, greetings. All right, wonderful. At Colin Spencer. Marcia says, that's just why pastor preaches about it all. Agree to disagree and let it go. Understandable. What up to TJ? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. For the most part, thank you for joining this conversation. What up to Span? Shout out to Christopher Span. For the most part, joining this conversation. Agree to disagree. You put at Marcia and let it go. Now, my point is, if you're talking about conversation or whatever the case may be, listen, folks is going to spar with the scriptures. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, certain individuals, they put the videos up of Gino and Williams when they're in the car and stuff like that, going back and forth. They've been doing that since they was kids, for the most part. Now, if we have a disagreement, anybody on here, nothing like what, some individuals have done, like I just mentioned about baptized without the Holy Ghost. That's something totally different at the end of the day. But if you look at the videos with Williams and Gino and stuff like that, when they're in the vehicle and they're going back and forth, they've been doing that since they was kids. You understand? Sparring with the word like that. That's some good sparring right there. And shout out to the people who was putting the videos out for the most part. What's up to Dawn? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Dawn B. Oh, excuse me. Oh, man, I'm tired. All right, Mr. Prodigal Son. You says, if you're not an ordained minister to preach or teach, sit down. Well, Brother Bakari out of the Virginia Temple, he's a qualified brother to, teach and stuff like that upon the scriptures. Now, some of them are limited to, speak upon certain things for the most part at the end of the day. Shout out to Brother Bakari, a.k.a. Tip Tom Family. There's a few other brothers up there, too, that I see on Facebook and stuff like that who can, say a certain amount of things for the most part. You know what I mean? All right? Anthony Nelson says, if you did have beef with someone in the church, would it keep you from going back? Good question. Good question. If you got an issue with somebody in the church, would it keep you from not going to church? No. Not at all. I'm not going to let anybody, if I got an issue with somebody, or if they got an issue with me, listen, me personally, I don't care what the situation is. I don't got no issues with nobody. If they feel a certain way about me, hey, that's on them. I don't care. I'm going to still continue to go to church, or whatever the case may be, and do my thing. What I mean by that is I would come to church not to see them or not to see anybody, to get the word in. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing about it. Some people go to church, or some people fellowship or claim they fellowship in, whatever the case may be, for the wrong reasons. You understand? If I'm going to service, or if I'm looking at it online, or whatever the case may be, I'm not thinking about nobody else. I don't care if brother so-and-so feel a way about me, or sister so-and-so feel a way about me. And it has happened. It has happened. I didn't care. I don't care. You understand? I don't care how somebody feel about me. If I'm trying to, come to a service or watch a service, or whatever the case may be, and I'm trying to get the word of the Lord in me, my focus is not on them. You understand? What's up to Sister Monica, Mr. Ham, John Smith, Joshua? Shout out to you. Mr. Dunbar said that should never be the case. You're there for the Lord and not people. Absolutely. I agree with you. You know what I mean? I definitely agree with that one right there. Marcia says, yes, enjoyable to listen to, but I think it's just teachable moments for Williams and us as well. That's actually how William learned that it is one God. Let me reread that. You say, yeah, it's enjoyable to listen to, but I think it's just teachable moments for Williams in us as well. You says that's actually how William learned that it is one God. All right. Oh, Gladys. Oh, DYS is Gladys. Okay. Oh, you back again. Listen, don't block this guy, True Worshipers. I saw him in the block list. Just because he got disagreements and whatnot, you understand? Don't block the guy. Don't hide. Don't time nobody out. If you got personal issues with people, or whatever the case may be, don't time them out. Don't block them. Do you understand? They ain't say anything racist or anything like that, anything threatening and stuff like that. You know what I mean? As long as they in line and stuff like that, it's cool. You know what I mean? But you did say some little skittlish stuff. So I can understand why somebody might have blocked you. I don't get why you like coming on here. I don't get it. I don't come on your channels. You about to get me started, man. They done blocked you, right? You probably knew you was blocked, right? And you came right back on. Wow. I mean, you fellowship with that fella in Canada, but yet you like coming on here. It got to be a reason why you like to continue to come on the Truth of God YouTubers channels. You understand? You was over on Mr. Ham channel after the moderator blocked you, and you still was talking about me. You understand? That's crazy. That's crazy. See, I don't fellowship with that fella right there. I don't fellowship with, he called himself True Worshipers. The one that's looking for attention and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I don't argue with that fella. See, he make videos and stuff like that. This is how you support, this is how I conduct myself. You know, when YouTube recommends certain videos, and this fella call himself a Christian and whatnot, he making all these videos. I don't respond to him. I don't watch it. You understand? I don't go back and forth with him at all. Simple. I don't make videos back and forth with this fella. I don't know this fella till YouTube recommends certain videos. I said, who is this fella right here? I don't know. I don't know how he know me. You know, but I don't go back and forth with fellas like him. I mean, it was a time in the day I used to, but I had to realize I could utilize that time right there to get more closer to the Lord. You know what I mean? For the most part. I'm not going to sit here and waste my time on somebody like him. You know what I mean? Making videos back and forth. Or in the comment section, watching his videos hours and hours. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? At all. So if I'm not going to do that with him, I'm not going to do that to a brother and a sister in general. You know what I mean? Now, unless they get out of line, which though I have to clarify something. Now, I will clarify something. That's something I will do. Clarify something. You know, but I'm not going to be going back and forth with a brother or a sister at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's been times where it was like that. You know, I had a little with some folks. You know what I mean? Outside of, you know, YouTube and whatnot. I could have put it up on YouTube. I could broadcast that type of stuff. I could do that. You know what I mean? I could broadcast this person over here, that person over there, put certain pictures up. I could do that. You know what I mean? And listen, we could let the cat out the bag on a lot of stuff. But we ain't here for that. You understand? We ain't here for that. Like, you know, a lot of y'all say, listen, pray for them. Forgive them. Let it go. You understand? And, this is how we, supposed to be. I had to learn humbleness, you know what I'm saying, in general from the truth of God. All right. Well, okay, prodigal son. All right. What's up? The Levy says, I left my church because I had an issue with the bishop. He was a false prophet. All right. Mr. Ham says, I don't have a problem with no one. I'm trying to make the first resurrection, working out my salvation. Wonderful. You know what I mean? That's most important. You know what I mean? Working out our own soul salvation. You know? M90 says, people blocking each other because of arguments, which is crazy. Yeah, people, you're gonna come across individuals who disagree with the truth of God, not from the truth of God. You know what I mean? And you might have conversations with brothers and sisters where so you might be sparring. You know what I mean? Now, to the extent is between those brothers and those sisters who go through those things. You know what I mean? That's between y'all to work out, y'all to get assessed, y'all to get situated. Whoever is going through that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Again, I ain't specifying nobody. What's up to Paris? Shout out to you. You said just giving out four warnings, that's all. What you coming on here for? You know what I mean? What you coming on here for? You know what I mean? You coming on here for what? There's a bunch of YouTube channels out here that's live. You want to come on here. I mean, you talk about people on here. You done talked about Mr. Dunbar, C-Rock, me. What you coming on here for? For what? What you wasting your time for, boy? You understand? All right. What's up to Anthony? What's up to Anthony Nelson? Shout out to you. You said wonderful attitude, and I hope some of your output can give me a better view of how I see people keeping God first. Is very important. For sure. You know what I mean? True Worshiper says, Tony, you're not a preacher. So why would we ever go back and forth? You sound real stupid right there, honestly. Now you sound dumb. Now it's being nice, now you sound real stupid. Honestly. You said, Tony, you're not a preacher, so why would we ever go back and forth? But clearly you're making videos about me. 3 or 4 hour videos. You see me make a video about you? No. See how stupid you just sound? You got to be careful what you say, man. You got to be real careful. See, you're trying to sound good, but behind that, you sound stupid. You got to come better than that. You just contradicted yourself because you made videos about Mr. Dunbar, me, C-Rock, and other individuals who ain't preachers, who never made a video about you. So what does that say about you? You see how stupid you are? You think you're so smart and whatnot, but you sound so stupid. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. The man said you're not a preacher, so why would we ever go back and forth? But clearly he made videos about men on here who are not preachers. Doesn't make sense. What's up, Latanya Bond? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Man, this guy's stupid. Listen, please, dude. If you're going to come, listen, come better than that. Because you sound pathetic at the end of the day. You're making videos, and I didn't even know who you was. Well, this is Tony Harvin. He's not a preacher, but I'm going to sit here. I'm going to make 3 hour videos on him. Well, look what you just said. You know? All right? Bobby Gonzalez says, brothers and sisters, you have immature adults go to church, show kindness, give love, and learn in silence. Wonderful. Learn in silence. I like that. All right. What's up to Paulette? Shout out to you. What's up to Jermaine? Shout out to you. Mr. Dunbar says, I like how he put us on his thumbnail. I enjoyed that. That's some sick work right there, man. That's a sick man. You understand? That's a sick man right there. You know? Wow. mm, what's up to A. Wooten? Shout out to you. Span says, my grandfather used to say, what are you, stupid? LOL. Okay, here we go. He said, you never once, well, the true worshipers guy, which is a follower of the guys in Canada. You know what I mean? Y'all call them jerk chicken or whatever. You understand? You said you never once did a dialogue to anyone in the scriptures. That's what I'm going at. Well, we clearly say that in our intro. What we say in our intro. I'm not a pastor, preacher, apostle, so please do not lay claims of those titles on me. We've been saying this. So what are you trying to say? You know what I mean? We've been saying that. So what are you exactly trying to say? You know, when we've been saying that in our introduction for a long time, way before you hit the scene. Way before you hit the scene. So really, you ain't saying nothing. You know? You don't have to go into scriptures to go back and forth with somebody. You understand that? You don't have to be a preacher to go back and forth with somebody. And just because somebody's not a preacher, that don't mean they don't know nothing about the scriptures. Use your head. You understand? And if you are a so-called preacher, what are you doing wasting your time talking about men all day? What are you doing? You understand? So you're just digging yourself deeper and deeper in the hole that you're gonna lay in. Simple as that. All right. Capricorn says, my daughter. I want to be careful. All right. I almost read that too fast, Capricorn. I almost read that too fast. You says my daughter is single, and I'm actually looking for a potential spouse for her. She said she can go up. She can. All right, I'm trying not to laugh on this one. I'm trying not to laugh on this one. Right. You said she said she can go 40 plus. I just want her to meet a godly man who truly loves the Lord, not 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Okay. I mean, hey, you know, more power to her on that one. You understand? More power on that one for sure. I just found that funny because I read it. I was reading it so fast with my eyes before I started reading it like verbally. So please forgive me for that. You know, of course, you know, parents, those who are in church, those who are Christ-like, you know, if we got kids and things like that who are up in age, we will want them to, you know, meet somebody or have somebody who's Christ-like, just like us for the most part. But we know it can be hard in these days. You know what I mean? Because we once was hard-headed, and we, you know, a lot of us see our kids who are hard-headed, and they're going to choose what they want to choose. But we would prefer them to have a Christ-like partner in general. You know what I mean? All right, what's up to Khadijah Reeves? Shout out to you. Appreciate that at John Smith. Shout out to you. What's up to B Holy? What's up to Suzanne Miller? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Herb Wise, shout out to you. Hope all is well. So, Mr. I'm just gonna call you worshipers, Church of Christ, Church of the Lord. He said Church of our Lord Jesus Christ. He says, Tony, isn't the Bible talking about men? Dude, what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? I forgot what your real name is, man. I want to call you by your real name, man. I don't want to call you by that name. I forgot what your real name is, man. You know, because I seen it around, but I forgot what it was. You know? I don't want to call you by that YouTube name. Okay, I see your name now. Let me see how to pronounce it. on Google Translate. Let me see. Let me see if this is how you pronounce your name. It's not playing.
Thigavara. Thigavara.
That's your name?
Thigavara.
Thigavara. I think that's your first name, right? Thigavara. You know? We'll call you by your first name, Thigavara. I ain't gonna call you by your YouTube name. You know? Thigavara. If I'm pronouncing it right. All right, Levy says, Prodigal Son says, Bible talks about everything, even women. Absolutely. So what he's trying to justify is that the Bible talks about men, right? So it's okay for him to use hours and hours to talk about other men. And if he's a so-called preacher, you know what? He's going to utilize his time to talk about other men all day versus the scriptures. Wow. Thigafora. I'm saying it right? Thigafora. Marcia says, I think they come on to make people laugh. No adult is that naive. Well, I kind of think that, I kind of think that for sure. To try to get viewers to see them and stuff like that and whatnot. But people not, rocking with them. I laugh at them. You know what I mean? No matter how many times this fella come on here or his members and whatnot, I will not watch not one of his videos at all. Period. You understand? You said what guy goes about preaching about men all day? Now I'm asking, isn't the Bible talking about men? I never said preaching. You lied. You need to go back to the video. Don't try to switch my words around. Now you're a liar now. Now you're lying. The other day you asked, was I bi? The other day you was a fruit boy. Now you're a liar. You understand? Listen, something I don't know about you, fella. Listen. I don't know about you. You just lied on me. Wow. You said what God goes about preaching. I said talking. I said talking about a bunch of men for hours and hours. I never said preaching. Did I say that? What timestamp? If I said that, I'll go back to repent. Let me know the timestamp in this video that I said that. I'll play it here, I listen to it, and I repent. You know what I mean? All right? Figure for her. All right? Prodigal Son said he's the bi fella. He said he's the bi fella. Wow. So those fellas right there, you know what I mean? They from I don't classify, guys like him as Christians. I don't classify him as Christ-like at the end of the day. Anytime you're supporting, why don't you talk about the guy who was a pedophile? You don't talk about him? Clearly, you fellowship with a pedophile, but you don't talk about him. All the guys you put up there that's in First Church, right? They haven't been locked up. They haven't been locked up for sex offenses. They haven't. You understand? But the fella you fellowship with have. Huh? Is he on the sex offenders list? You talk about him? So you ain't going to talk about him. Talk about him. Talk about that sex offender you got next to you. Ain't going to talk about that. Answer that question. I answered your question. You answer my question. Why you don't talk about that sex offender? Huh? Jelani Blake. He's in a newspaper. Why don't talk about him? Huh? He's in the police reports. Why you don't talk about him? Huh? You know? You want to talk about all the First Church people. They haven't been locked up for sex offenses. But your boy has. Talk about that. You know what I mean? So this is conversation, I would say. It's not arguing. You know what I mean? Because if you got individuals who disagree with the truth of God and whatnot, right, who's putting out videos from another organization, they're quick to talk about what's going on in First Church, right? But when they have a sex offender who's been arrested, locked up, and police reports and stuff like that, they don't talk about him. They keep that hush. They keep that quiet. You understand? You're fellowshipping with this guy. You're fellowshipping with a guy who beat his pregnant girlfriend, who tried to unalive the baby. Talk about that. It's in the police reports. It's in the newspaper. Huh? Mr. True Worshipers and Brother L. Why that man try to beat that pregnant woman? Huh? Wow. You know what I mean? Ain't gonna talk about that. See, they talk about all this nonsense YouTube stuff. This is why I say I don't take these fellas serious up in Canada. I don't take them serious. You know what I mean? So they come on here and they say what they say, while there's Brother L, True Worshipers, there's a few other Sons of God. They say all this stuff, but they won't talk about the sex offender. You won't talk about the man who beat his girlfriend and try to unalive that baby. Did he come on YouTube to apologize to all the women he was pimping out? Huh? Did he apologize to the mother of the child he had in that rap video? I ain't gonna talk about that. You ain't gonna talk about that. You understand? You talking about other people's past. So why you ain't talking about his past? Talk about that. You know? Talking about that's his past, but you sitting there talking about other people's past. You sitting there putting up pictures and videos of other people's past and stuff like that, but you won't put up his past. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Get out of here, man. I see why the moderators blocked you. You know what I mean? They probably ready to block you again. All right, let's get back to this, man. Marcia says, that's how you know they want attention. It is funny. I'm laughing at him too. Why is he here? And you don't even pay their videos no attention at all. Well, that's how you know fellas like that on YouTube is and whatnot. They go to different Truth of God YouTubers and they comment because they want people to come to their YouTube channel. They want subscribers. They want views. You know what I mean? They want people to watch their 3-hour videos. Not one time. Now, one time I will click the video and sit there. Let me watch that. No. Only their people do that. To my understanding, he's from the Bahamas and whatnot. To my understanding, he has kinfolk out there where I'm from, Jersey City. You know what I mean? He's a clown. You know what I mean? A pure clown. That's why I don't pay these people no mind. Especially like him. You know what I mean? Anytime you support a man who don't want to come to the forefront and repent it. I repented about a lot of things over YouTube. You understand? When you are a sex offender, when you pimping out women, you hurt a lot of people. You hurt a lot of people. You hurt a lot of families. Now you got a platform, right? You got a small little crumb of a platform. Why did he utilize that? Listen, I apologize to all the women I've hurt. I apologize to the woman who was my girlfriend at the time for trying to unalive the baby. I apologize to the parents of the kid that I put in the rap video. When you come to the forefront with that, you keep saying John McGregor dealt with it. Why don't he come to the forefront and deal with it? I know if I hurt a lot of people in such manner, I'm going to utilize my platform. Listen, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt people. I didn't mean to hurt you, that, XYZ. I'm not going to sit here and use a platform, you know what I mean, to talk about a bunch of men all day. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that at the end of the day. This is what I'm talking about. You know, clearly you ain't understanding that. Clearly you're not. You know? All right, here we go. Be Holder says, pastors show up and run and like a scared cat. Oh, I guess you meant pastors showed up and they ran? That's what you're trying to say? At Be Holy? Can't really understand that one. Unless it was a typo. All right? Ah, man. What time is it? 8:01. What's up to Leo? He said, let's talk about you who already married to your first wife and stalking other women from First Church. What? Wow. Where's the first wife at? Listen, when you say something, you got to prove it. Where's the first wife at and where's the woman that I was stalking at? Wow. Women in First Church. Did Tony Harvin ever stalk you? I'm not being arrogant or anything like that, but I don't need to stalk no woman. Huh? What I look like? You understand? I don't need to stalk no woman. I don't need to do that. Nah, I don't need to do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. No way. I don't need to stalk no woman. You crazy? You must be crazy if I need to stalk anybody. You know what I mean? No way. You know what I mean? No way. But where's this woman at? Let me know. Bring her on. You know what I mean? We offered the invitation before. We offered it already. We said bring the woman on, bring the babies on. Where they at? I'm still waiting. The invitation is still open. Bring the woman on and bring the women who I've stalked. Bring it on. You understand? Let me know. Email me, TonyHarvin@yahoo.com. We'll set it up on StreamYard. And you can bring them on. You know what I mean? Again, any woman in here who go to First Church, anybody in here, ever heard Tony Harvin stalked anybody? Wow. That's the first time I ever heard something like that. Wow. A first wife and still stalking women at the same time? Where's this woman at? Where's she at? I just said, where's she at? I just said, where the woman at? Where are they? If you can prove something, I say, listen, man, okay. All right, you know, that's me in her inbox, right? That's me in her inbox right there. Another woman right there, yeah, that's me. Yeah. What I look like? Oh, man. That's funny. That was hilarious. That was so funny. That was hilarious, man. Whew. Wow. He said stalking woman from First Church. Wow. That's my first time I ever heard of anything like that. Yeah, he's definitely reaching for sure, man. I don't know where you heard that from. Who's telling you this information? Who's telling you this? You going to do my Facebook? Go ahead. My Facebook is to the public. Instagram is to the public. You can scroll all the way down. from 2010. Let me know what you find. If you need information, all you got to do is email me. That's it. I told you before. If you want to know the kid's mother and stuff like that, just email me. I'll let you know. We can meet in person and I'll tell you. We can meet in person. Whatever information you want to know, Brother L and true worshipers, we can meet in person. I tell you in person, okay? I'll tell you in person, face to face. You know? It's funny. All right, what's up to T Wood? What's up to Wanda? Shout out to you. It's pretty hilarious. Oh, Prodigal Son. Oh my goodness, you brought up that woman? Ugh. Well, we're here to talk about this subject, this topic. At the end of the day, you know, why do many church people argue and fight more than outsiders? Now, like I said, I don't classify them people, like those two fellas, as Christians, church people. I don't. You understand? So when we go back and forth, I don't classify that as arguing or anything like that. These are just some fellas who's looking for attention. You know what I mean? These are some fellas. I'm stalking women. I know you're there. I know you're reaching. You understand that? Definitely. I don't need to do that. Never did. Never need to. If I say, listen, I want a wife now, I don't need to stalk no woman. You understand? I put on my, you know, get all that right. Get all this right. You know what I'm saying? Dressed up right, you know, put on some smell goods and do my thing. Go approach, you know, a woman who I may be interested in. I don't need to stalk nobody. It's not that hard to approach a woman. You know what I mean? Simple. Oh man, this is funny. I don't know what you thought. I don't know what y'all thought y'all was doing, man. I don't know what you thought you was doing or what. Leo says, maybe someone's wife from these trolls are attracted towards you, Tony, and them femboys are jealous. It was one female from their group. What's her name? I forgot that female name. Man. Let me see if I can pull her up right quick. Oh, Charnel. Maid servant Charnel. That's one of the females from that their organization. Maid servant Charnel. Wow. It was another one too. I think her name was Anne or something like that. You know what I mean? And you might be right, man. I don't want to take no, you know, I don't want to go that route, excuse me, by disrespecting their wives or anything like that. But that could be the case. You know, but I just remember the main name of maid servant Charnel or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's just a crazy situation that they put so much focus on people from First Church. They put so much. You know what I mean? Clearly, we like to have regular conversations and stuff like that. Yet they still come here. Yet they still watch. Yet they still... The person from the church, Brother L, you just said, I stalk women from First Church, right? But yet y'all stalking people from First Church Facebook pages and Instagrams and stuff like that. That's crazy, man. You invest your time in that. When I come home from work, I ain't doing none of that. You understand? I ain't doing none of that. I ain't making no videos 3-4 hours about no other men. I'm not doing that, man. Every day. You understand? I ain't doing that. You know? What's up to G Money? Shout out to you. Elizabeth, shout out to you. Hope all is well. You want to ask a Bible question? We're here to talk about this. What's up, Latanya Bond? Shout out to you. Christopher Span is funny. All right, here we go. Oh, man. Brother L says, Tony, you be going on their Facebook page, sending them friend requests. Then they put up their husband and you will vanish from their page, liar. Wow. You heard this guy, what this guy said? Wow, listen, people who know me from the outside of YouTube, you hear this? I know there's some people in the background laughing. You know what I mean? He said, I go to other women Facebook pages. I don't even be on Facebook like that. I post what I post and get off. Simple. You know what I mean? I got, what? When you hit 5,000 friends on Facebook, you can't send no more requests at all. My stuff is maxed out. There's over like 1,000 people on the friends list of mine. So I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't know, somebody feeding you stuff. I don't know how you could know that anybody go around sending friend requests. Wow, that's impressive, man. That's so impressive. If you can do that, man, wow, kudos to you. Yeah, right on. You know what I mean? But I don't know who's feeding you this information. Oh, prodigal son, you told me. Wow. You go around, you said you'd be going on their Facebook page, sending them friend requests. Listen, if anybody out there who knows me outside of YouTube, please say something. Please, if you want to. I know some people in the background, they like to stay private, whether it's family members or friends who know me on the outside and stuff like that. I don't even like going to people's Facebook pages, period. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. I don't like sitting there and looking on page. I don't know. It's something about it. You know what I mean? I get irritated. I do. I don't like Instagram. Facebook is all right. I try to, check out the videos. Oh, shout out to Brother Bakari. You know what I mean? Abraham Aviles and whatnot. Some brothers put up, some Truth of God videos and good quotes. DJ Grant. Who else? Jay Williams. You understand that in my news feed? But for the most part, if the stuff it's not in the news feed and stuff like that, I don't go around searching. I don't do that. You understand? I try to go to family members' pages to see what's going on. I do. I ain't gonna lie. You understand? Because you want to see what your family, what they got going on. You know what I mean? And you will hope that if you posting the truth of God and whatnot, if you're putting up quotes, you will hope they listen to it. You know what I mean? But I'm surprised that, a lot of people listen to the truth of God, from my area and stuff like that, even family members. That's good. That's a good thing. Because I didn't think that. Just like with the first YouTube channel, when we put out the truth of God. We didn't think anybody was going to listen. It was for us, for our study purposes, and whatnot. So that's what we aim to do. We aim to encourage people at the end of the day. But you got idiots like, this guy and whoever. They think they doing something, but you ain't doing nothing, honestly, man. You understand? Like I said, once I turn this thing off, I go about my business. Simple as that. You know what I mean? I don't think about you fellas. You know what I mean? Such as yourself. All right? Uncommon, you says keep your personal life private. Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure. You know what I mean? It's YouTube at Capricorn. You understand that? It's YouTube. You saying you sitting here explaining why. It's just YouTube. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't take none of this stuff serious. For the most part, it's how you explain yourself. You know what I mean? And for the most part, it's funny to me. I mean, I find everything that, fellas like him say in general. You know what I mean? That's the whole concept of when you're doing YouTube content. You don't take it serious. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. All right. What's up to Joshua? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. What's up to Indoor? We almost at an hour mark. G Money. You says, why do church people argue and fight? Because they are church people. Real saints have joy and resolve their differences. He says, people need to become saints. A lot of church people are wicked. Bottom line. You know what? I agree with you. I agree, for sure. Span says, one thing is for sure, two things for certain. Oh, man. He said he had sack chasers stalking him. That brother far from a stalker, just from my observation. For sure. I don't know what we talk about stalking, man. That's some crazy work right there. Wow. Wow. All it is them listening to a thought. That's all it is. You know what I mean? That thought who we used to deal with went on Mr. I don't want to say his name. Went on a guy from Canada's YouTube channel, right? Because I kicked her to the curb. Simple. That's all that is. A thought. You know? And if you're watching, you thought. You know? And you know, when you don't want to be with somebody, or whatever the case may be, you don't want to give a person the time and the day. You understand? For the betterment of yourself. This is what people do. This is what they do. They go around and they start spreading these rumors, these lies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And you got silly men. You know what I mean? A beautiful, attractive woman could sway them. Yeah, he said, yeah, this, yeah, that. And have these two idiots say these lies on here. Because they see the beauty of that woman. And she could say anything. You know what I mean? Just like the other one. So it's three of them. It's these two guys, and it's another one. Sons of God. 3 guys. Wow. Wow, ain't that something, man? You know what I mean? A woman who just puts a bunch of makeup on, right? Will make herself look beautiful. Man, y'all drooling over her? Wow. Listen, that was over a year ago. That was over a year ago. That's sad. You know what I mean? Over a woman. They doing this over a woman. You know? All right. Mr. Ham says they're busybodies and nosy. What's up, the German? Mr. Ham, you're right. You know what I mean? Based upon, when YouTube recommends those videos and stuff like that. Busybodies. You know what I mean? The only people who I think listening to them are their own members. And whatnot. Simple as that. You know? All right? Christopher Spain says, LOL. Sons of Thunder. Yeah, that's you. You asked that question before already, man. Why do you keep asking the same questions over and over? This guy keep asking the same questions over and over. Over and over. Over and over. We answered you already, man. I'm not answering that question no more. Worshippers, you asking the question about apostle? That's the question you're talking about? I saw you had a question about, can a person be an apostle if they was taught or had a leader that was an apostle? That's the question you're talking about? Let me know. Wow. You said I went to go meet the pastor and the parents. Oh, you said true. You said yes. Yes, Tony. About the apostle and whatnot. So you're trying to say that Gino or whoever, if they call themselves an apostle or they explain their apostleship and whatnot, you're saying that if they was taught underneath an apostle, that they can't not become an apostle. Is that your whole assessment of things? Let me know. He says, Tony, what they make you? I don't know. You know what I mean? They making me a stalker of women with a wife. You understand? They said I had a wife. Then they said I was trying to marry the woman. Then they said I had a baby. Then they said I was stalking women from First Church. Wow. Wow. Wow, man. I'm a stalker. I'm an adulteress. I got babies. I'm having babies. What else? So I'm married, and I try to marry another woman, right? And then I met the pastor and her parents, all at the same time. Wow! Wow! All this time I've been on these lives, man. What woman did y'all see on here? Besides that, well, she wasn't in my house or anything like that. Wow! Tony Harvin got a wife now, was engaged, had a baby somewhere else, I think, stalked women in First Church, and what was the other one? Woo! That's hilarious, man. That's funny. Way to go. Way to go, Sons of Thunder. Man, you did it. Strange. Strange. You did it. Strange. All right, let's get back to this topic. Wanda says you'll be busy. Apparently. Wow, where's my wife at? Honey, you there? Honey. Wow. Man. That's crazy. It's 8:24. Where's my wife? Where's she at? Honey, where you at? Oh man, this is funny. Oh man, that's crazy. Man, they think they doing something, man. All right, we got about 2 minutes left, and we're gonna knock off. Is anybody else having something tonight? Is anybody else having anything tonight? Let us know so we can knock off. And tomorrow's Friday. I think we should do like a recap video on a topic that Gino preached on. Think about it. You understand? Is anybody having anything tonight? For the most part, let me know. It was a pretty funny conversation tonight. You know, not a problem, Mr. Dunbar. Wow. G Money says people need to mind their own business and worry about how they're going to look and be judged when it comes to meeting the maker. Point blank. Period. Maybe their control levels will go down. Span says, when you got trolled, yet you're trolling them. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I learned about, doing YouTube and whatnot. You're going to have people like that. You understand? That's going to conjure up certain stories. They're going to try to speak to certain people you may have dealt with. Maybe it's family members, or maybe it's an ex-girl you dealt with. Or if you're a woman who doing YouTube, they'll try to, like them fellas, they'll try to dig up certain individuals that you was close to and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't take, what those individuals say seriously. You know what I mean? Whatever relationships I have moving forward and stuff like that, of course, like somebody mentioned, keep your stuff private. You know what I mean? All the fellas on here, if you got wives and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And you post on Facebook or whatever. And if you want to put it public, fine. You know what I mean? But you got idiots like them that will go to your Facebook page, that will screenshot your wife and will talk about her and whatnot. They'll do it over the internet. But let me tell you this, they won't do it in person. You understand? And that's all I'm going to say at the end of the day. You see how these individuals act over the internet? You know what I mean? They won't do it in person. Simple as that. And we're gonna leave it at that. You know what I mean? We're here to have a conversation. This ain't no sermon. True worshipers. You know what I mean? This ain't none of that. This is a regular YouTube channel. Simple as that. All right? What's up to Robin Harris? Span says no. You know? Who else we missed? What's up to J Marco? Shout out to you. Justin Fuller says, I wanted to find the broadcasters on the 5 operations. 5 operations? Let me see. Let me find that for you right quick, and we're going to knock off. 5 operations might be Trooper Guide 1052. Let me double check. Because I got to go, man. I'm hungry. Man. Oh, 1056. 1056. 1056. Try program 1056 and whatnot. You know what I mean? 1056. Check that out. And that should be it. I actually had that one on audio too. Not the broadcast number, but he was talking about the 5 operations of God. I like an audio CD that I had a while ago. It might be on my other computer. A lot of stuff is on my other computer and whatnot that I've been meaning to upload, to transfer it on this computer for the most part. You know what I mean? What's up to Shannon? Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Dunbar said you should have boxing gloves made, one that says Old Testament and the other New Testament. Very interesting. Very interesting customized. I will say that. That's actually a good idea. I will say that. Hawaiian Love, he says, I watched PJ and he's talking about another a so-called preacher from Alabama. You says very interesting contrast in their teaching. Okay, I mean, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Who else we missed? Appreciate that at Colin Spencer. Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Jay Williams. Shout out to you. Hope all is well. Ain't about intimidation. It's about you. It's about you. Whatever you can say over the internet, right? As a man, you can say in person. That's all I'm saying. You talking about intimidation. I don't need to do that. You understand that? I don't need to do that at all. You understand? Because anytime you're talking about a man and wife, right? Like how y'all do some of the first church members, I can guarantee you won't say it to their face. That's all I'm saying. Ain't about no intimidation. Ain't about nobody being scared or anything like that. You and the other people up there in Canada, right? The same thing you're saying about, individuals' wives and sisters and aunties and all that over the internet, you will not say it to their face. That's all I'm saying. Simple as that. You know what I mean? That's all we're saying. And we know that's the truth. You know what I mean? We know that's the truth. We know that. Simple as that. All right? Here we go. We got to go. As I'm reading these comments and whatnot. Appreciate that, sister in Christ. Indoor says, I'm feasting on broadcast 1861. 1861. Let me see that right quick, man. Yeah, y'all making me go on my bag right now, man. Y'all making me stay on, go on my bag. And looking at these broadcasts and whatnot, man. What did I watch? Was I watching 1861? Let me see. Was I watching that? Nah, I didn't catch that yet. I didn't catch that yet. I'm in my 18s right now taking notes. I finished the 17s. I think I finished like everything up to about 1856. You know what I mean? 1856, man. You know what I mean? So all those who out there who's watching the broadcast, you know, take good notes. You know what I mean? Take good notes. You know what I mean? Get into like a quiet place and stuff like that. Take good notes when you're watching the broadcast, in general. You know what I mean? But there's a lot more programs out there, a lot more throwbacks. I think Elder Dan is putting out for the most part, man. So that's more videos out there to you know, take note. All right. Let me see where we at. He said Fruits of the Spirit, 1861-1862. Wonderful. It's good, man. I'll be looking forward to checking that video out in a bit. Endo, you said, yeah, bro, I'm going to start thumbnailing them. Oh, yeah, man. It's very good. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, where this is at, where that is at, the topics and subjects and things like that. Of course, you know, everybody puts their own notes down in general. I know sometimes I have to go back to, you know, broadcasts that I may have watched before. You know what I mean? Like the old ones from the other YouTube channel. They have another YouTube channel. It's called First Church. I don't know if anybody know about that one. All right, so it still has a little bit of commotion going on. Wow. All right, we got to wrap it up. I hope everybody have a good night. God bless everybody out there in general. Endorse that, yeah, First Church is my joint classics. For sure. All right, God bless. I'm out. Hope everybody have a wonderful and peaceful sleep. I'm out.